person is a monster. It's a subhuman. This person doesn't think like you and I do. This person is not going to make sense.
Welcome to Jonbenèt Ramsey Sketchy Details Part 21. If you have not watched Parts 1 through 20, it's advised that you do because these are in chronological order. This video, along with every video in this series, are intended for educational purposes only and are not intended for children. So for number 82, we're going to go back and reference from Part 13, the poem. And I'm going to play a clip from that video and then also a different clip. So you guys may remember this. At blithely festive New Year's bash, some candidates en route stopped there as if by feeding toasts and cheer they could undo the fatal sash the week before. But handlers die, and what to do with Christmas nigh, the one in lieu did err. Now our focus for this is where it says New Year's bash. Remember how in the breakdown of that video I brought up how I think the poem was meaning that the guilty people went back to the crime scene on New Year's Eve? Well, I was surfing around YouTube the other day and I stumbled upon this channel and I watched one of his videos and I found something very interesting that I wanted to show you guys. So here's a clip from this guy's video.
Please what? Please what?
So he's doing a spirit communication EVP thing right outside of the Ramsey Boulder house. He's inside of his vehicle and he's doing this EVP session. I don't know what anybody thinks about, the possibility of that being capable, but I think that this video may be legit because his video is from the end of last year, and I highly doubt this guy saw my poem video, so I don't think it was that his video is fake and just based off of the poem that I released, because I'm the only one with that poem on here, so just, be aware of that. But I highly doubt that he saw that video, and so I kind of do think that this guy's video is legit, and it makes me really, really want to be able to ask Burke, what's up with New Year's? What happened on New Year's? And as far as the clip of his video goes, what you're listening for is the feminine whisper that is being said over his machine. It's not the, distorted sounds. It's the feminine whisper is what you want to hear, and I don't hear all of what his subtitles say, but I do hear New Year's, and I do hear about the, and then some word with a D. It doesn't really sound like door. It kind of sounds like door. It kind of sounds like dark. And remember in the poem, in the Patricia papers, she was talking about darkness, and it's like, I kind of feel like it says dark, but I can't really tell. But I definitely hear New Year's and about the... and ask son. So number 83. So if a family is or was a gentle, close, and loving family, as John stated in one of the earliest interviews, how does this loving, gentle, close family also have a callous, distant, emotionally father figure? No matter how collected or in control of their emotional responses a loving father and husband is, one would naturally think that he would at least console or comfort his grieving wife over the murder of their youngest daughter. So why have we never, especially in the first interviews and on the 26th, ever seen John console his wife and mother of his murdered child? One would then be able to deduce that this would either be because of guilt on John's behalf or because they were not a happy, loving married couple. Why else would a husband choose not to comfort his wife over the murder of their 6-year-old daughter? Please, I'm open to others' reasonings for this behavior. Number 84. So, on page 6, 7, and 8 of December 29th, 1996, search warrant for the Boulder Ramsey house. On each page, there are numerous like so many VHS or video cassette tapes that the police took for evidence. I'm just going to let you look at these real quick and then we'll talk about some of them. So on just these 3 pages, there's a total of 158 video cassette tapes or VHS tapes that the police took as evidence from the Boulder Ramsey house. You may have noticed that most of the VHS tapes had some sort of 3 letters that were associated with it. They were JBR, KKY, KRV, and BAH. Now, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that BAH stands for Basic Allowance for Housing, which is a United States military entitlement given to many military members. KRV, I believe, is some sort of stock, and then KKY, I don't know if he belonged to it, but KKY is a fraternity. And obviously JBR is either Jonbenèt Ramsey or Jonbenèt Ramsey. Now, BAH could also be a stock, which would make a little more sense because that one seems to be the one that he has the most of. He could have been recording the stock market while he was busy doing something else. You know what I mean? If he had money invested into it, that would make more sense. I don't see why there would be so many videotapes for a housing allowance. But I don't know what the hell the KKY or the KRV are, but the BAH, so I'm pretty sure that John had stock in at least 2 or 3 different stocks. But I'm trying to be unbiased here and give John the benefit of the doubt because when you first initially see those 3 pages, your mind automatically goes to a dark spot with how many video cassette tapes he had that were home movies. But if I am going to try to approach this in a very unbiased way, which I kind of have a hard time doing, then that's what I think these acronyms stand for, are these different stocks. But the JBR one could be her beauty pageants. And something I found super sketchy about these papers that I am not able to explain is you'll notice that down here on the bottom, it says 12/31/1996, and they all say JRB next to them. That date hadn't happened yet. The search warrant is from 12/29/1996. So how are there videos of 12/31/1996? I do not get that at all, and I would really like for that to be explained, but it probably will never be explained. So, I don't know, just something I thought was super freaking sketchy. Since we're on the topic of videotapes, there's just a couple more things that I want to bring to your attention. So in Patsy's interview with Tom Haney and Trip DeMuth, Patsy is asked about the spare bedroom, the John Andrews bedroom, and the bedroom that she spent her recovery time in. Now, she's just asked, like, do you go in there a lot? And she says, no, bad memories from her recover, right? And then out of nowhere, she says, we had run a videotape through there. And then she just stops. I don't know if she meant like we watched a video in there, which you would think that you would just say that. But to me, it sounds like that she was meaning we ran a video recorder in that room. That's kind of sketchy to me. This entire Tom Haney, Patsy Ramsey, and Trip DeMuth interview is bullshit. Honestly, it is the fakest, most propped up, scripted thing I've ever freaking read in my entire life. I don't know how long Tom Haney had been on the force or whatever, but he is the worst interviewer/interrogator that I have ever seen in my entire life. In my opinion, he was not asking the right questions, and even when he did, he would interrupt her in her answer, so stopping her from saying everything that she was trying to say. How the fuck do you get an interview investigation if you don't even allow the person to say what they're trying to say? It's ridiculous. Plus, he was not asking the right questions at all. It seemed like he was like intimidated by Trip DeMuth and Linwood and stuff like that. They needed somebody way stronger than Tom Haney. Going back to the evidence pages, I just kind of thought this, and it's kind of dumb that I barely thought it, but those acronyms could also be just something that the police put there to identify like who picked up those certain VHSs. They could have nothing to do with like the actual VHS, like it wasn't written on there. And if that's the case, then that's even way more sketchier, because then I have no like explanation for any of the videos. And 158 homemade movies and your kids are only 6 and 9 years old. Okay, so last thing for this number. In the same Tom Haney, Patsy Ramsey, Trip DeMuth interview, Patsy was asked by Trip DeMuth a series of do you know, and then a bunch of different men's names. Some of the men's names do not come up at all when I try to search for them. But there's a couple that are kind of weird and sketchy, and I wanted to talk about those. So the first two I guess I'll bring up are Edwin Danover and Dale Flint. Now these are both currently 80-year-old Boulder residents, and they don't either, like both of them, do not have and have not had any sort of business associated with them. But yet they live in affluent neighborhoods in Boulder. And Edwin Danover's daughter, Jennifer Joy Danover, works in the Defense Department, in the Department of State Influence Warfare Concentration. No idea what that means, but worth noting, right? Another name that she was asked about was Rodney Wilson, who is a security agent and financial advisor out of Fort Collins. Another name is Donald Bartlett. He is an investigative journalist who used to be a special agent with U.S. Army counterintelligence. And let's see who else. Okay, so Ron Bloom is an ex-Marine who died in 2015 who has a history of sexual assault and is a Boulder resident. And there's a few different, like, politicians and senators and people, like assembly people. Why were they asking about security defense agents, journalists, politicians, old men residents of Boulder, and known sex offenders all at the same time? What do these people all have in common? How are they connected? So for number 85, this one is a big one for me. So at this point, it's pretty much indisputable that Santa played a big part in Jonbenèt's death and is a very vital piece of this mystery, if you will, okay? And I'm certain that the police and investigators were aware of Santa's importance to this case really early on in the investigation. From the torn up letter from Santa in Jonbenèt's bedroom's trash can, the mystery Santa teddy bear that just appeared on the spare bed in her bedroom just as quickly as it disappeared, to the story that she told one of the neighbors that she had a special meeting with Santa after Christmas, showing that there was some sort of other special relationship with a Santa figure. Doesn't necessarily mean that it was Bill McReynolds, but Santa played a big part in Jonbenèt's abuse and ultimately her death. So this is also part of the inventory, the evidence inventory, what they took from the Ramsey house as evidence. The third item on this list is a Santa suit, a Santa Claus suit. I'm willing to bet that Patsy didn't put on that Santa suit. So John Ramsey also owned a Santa Claus suit. Why was he not arrested right away? Why? Nobody talks about this. Nobody talks about this. Any of the news, the investigators, nothing. Like, nobody brings up the fact that they also found a Santa Claus suit in the Ramsey house. So add that to all of the other evidence. The note being written by Patsy, the felt pen and the pad being from their house, the body being found in the house. Since when is that not enough evidence to arrest somebody, at least until you get them to start talking? Even if John didn't necessarily kill Jonbenèt, say it was Burke that, dealt the blow to the head that ultimately killed her, she was still being strangled before the blow came to her head. So there are more than enough signs all around this case that show that there was current and previous sexual abuse going on against Jonbenèt. So arrest the father and the mother and get them to talk. They will end up telling on their son if that was the case. If it was, either one of them, something would have happened, or they'd already be in jail, so that would be some sort of justice. Make no mistake that John watches everything that is put out about this case. He keeps very up to date with what is said about his daughter's case. All of this bullshit he's doing lately, all the interviews and the trying to take the case away from Boulder hands, which is ridiculous, is all damage and image control because of all of these other videos, theories, and blogs that are actually digging into this case. If it's taken away from Boulder's hands, that is the last remaining piece of the real crime that is going to be connected to the case. Do you know what I mean? Almost everybody from that case is dead. especially a lot of the suspects. And then if you take it away from the place where it happened, like there's nothing. And he's right about one thing, okay? He's right about one thing. When he said that we're running out of time, or time's running out, he's right. Time is running out. Because most of the people that had any real connection to that case, that held any sort of substantial, like, information, are dead or dying. Time is running out. If John Ramsey dies before anything is done, then she will not get any sort of justice. Unless Burke is waiting until his father dies to say something because he's so scared of his father. But John Andrew gives off the impression that it has been bestowed upon him to keep the narrative going. So maybe Burke won't even talk then because of John Andrew. And John Andrew seems like one sketchy, scary, creepy motherfucker. And one more thing before I stop this video, I was going through more of the evidence list and I found those same acronyms right next to other things that were not VHSs. So those were put there by the police. So now I don't have any explanation for what they meant, and those videotapes seem extra sketchy. But that is the end of part 21. I thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe and help me reach 1,000 subscribers with this channel. And as always, God bless. Evil on this scale is impossible to comprehend. To know who murdered JonBenèt Ramsey would be to know what world we live in, where we are.